Let's face it, we love our cars. We're nuts about them. Hi, I'm Don Olson for The Aging Game. Americans in their 90s, 80s, even their 70s grew up with the earliest automobiles, and many of them learned to drive on farms and country roads. Some seniors remember Henry Ford's Model T, rutted highways, and a time when there were no freeways. And they can tell you the year, make, and model of their first car.
My first car was a 36 Ford Coupe, and I loved it.
It's a 1937 Ford.
1934 Ford Coupe.
Some may think of a car as simply a way to get from home to work or the store. But for most Americans, the car, the truck, the SUV are essential to the American dream.
It's freedom.
It's always given me the freedom to go and do what I wanted to do.
We're not like European countries. You know, you can drive across their country in half an hour. We got lots of space. We have to have a car and be free.
If you've got a license and you've got a car, there's somebody.
I got a 54 Chev too that I really like.
And I've had it since '73. The license plate, see? The original license plate.
I just have this car and one other one, and I just love cars.
So what do people imagine will happen when they won't be able to drive anymore?
It'll really be a tough day because I've really loved driving.
To lose the freedom to do this, I don't know. I don't know what I'd do. Go get me a motorized wheelchair, I guess.
I'd have to sit in the driveway in my new Mustang convertible, I guess.
In the aging game, probably no rule is more dreaded than having to give up the privilege of driving when poor vision, slow reflexes, or some other problem affects your ability to drive. We asked 95-year-old Artis McQueen how she will feel when that day comes.
I'll feel like I'm in prison because I get out almost every day when it's nice weather.
Artis is extraordinary in many ways.
I'm an excellent driver. I've been driving since I was 12 years old, and I've never had an accident.
She's one of only about 20 Utahns who are age 95 and still have a driver's license.
My doctor tells me that I will know when I can't drive anymore.
She says her oldest son would feel better if she hung up the keys.
He thought maybe I should think about not driving anymore.
But her other sons agree with her doctor.
He said, you have good sense, and you have a good sense of balance, and your eyes are good, and he said, you'll know. Come on, man. Well, sometimes I tell them they're slow. Sometimes I tell them they're crazy for driving so fast. And then I'll say, didn't you see that stop sign? I love driving.
Mrs. McQueen does make some concessions for driving at age 95. She won't drive at night. She won't drive on the freeway. In fact, she'll only drive here in her neighborhood. As we said, Artis is one of 20 licensed drivers her age in Utah. There are nearly 152,000 licensed drivers over age 65 now, and that number is expected to double by the year 2020 as we baby boomers roll into retirement.
Our population is going to increase, our roads are going to be more congested, it's going to be much more difficult for seniors to get around.
It'll be more difficult for seniors and teenagers and everybody in between to get around because there'll be more people driving more cars. We asked one of America's leading researchers all about this.
We have done quite a bit of work over the last decade looking at the psychological factors underlying driving. What is driving? And it's a really good question because everybody has had situations where they've driven for 10 or 15 minutes and suddenly come to and said, I've been driving for the last 10 or 15 minutes and I have no recollection of what happened. We know that people do a lot of activities while they're driving besides driving. Just the facts of acquiring a complex skill like driving requires several years. So if you just look at the accident statistics, it may take 5 to 7 years for someone to get to the range where they're no longer at heightened risk for accidents. We know that good vision is important. We know that being able to attend and focus attention on the critical things in the driving scene is important. Being able to selectively exclude or distraction. Planning and decision making are extremely important. Quick reactions are important. Anticipation is important. When we look at accident rates, we find a U-shaped function, that young drivers are very much at risk for getting into accidents, that accident risk declines so that by the age of 25 or thereabout, it's relatively flat and stays flat till about 65. And then it starts to slowly and gradually start to increase so that by the age of 80, an older male driver, for very different reasons, is about as likely to be involved in an accident as is a 16-year-old driver.